إذا كنت مهتما بشخصية أندرو وجانبه النفسي وطريقة تفكيره وكيف درب عقله لمواجهة جميع هذه الصعاب، فأندرو قام بلقاء طويل استمر لأكثر من ساعتين مع الطبيب النفسي ديفيد ساتكليف، وسوف يتحدثون ويتناقشون عن كل ما ذكرته سابقا. أنا ترجمت فقط الساعة الأولى من اللقاء، وإن شاء الله أقوم بترجمة بقية اللقاء في الأيام القادمة. وقبل ما نبدأ لا تنسوا الاشتراك بالقناة، ونريد نوصل 100,000 مشترك قبل نهاية هذا الشهر إن شاء الله. لنبدأ.
Ready to break the internet, friend? How are we going to break the internet? You said you wanted this to be impactful. What would that look like to you?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of people are interested in my journey. I think a lot of people are interested in how it feels to go through what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who want me to martyr myself. A lot of people are living vicariously through me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who say, yeah, Andrew, keep going. But they don't really care. They just enjoy the drama of it all. And I think I've already broken the internet, but you're a very interesting man to talk to. And with your insights, I think together, we're going to have quite a large audience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that I have for you. Why did you want to talk to me? Because I'm a psychotherapist. You have your skepticism about psychotherapy, and yet here I am.
That's true. We had a conversation before, and I've been told by many people it was my most interesting podcast ever. So I think it obviously varies from the norm in terms of the normal things I'm asked about. You have some unique insights. And I thought it'd be an interesting conversation. A lot of people are asking me especially about my mental state and those kind of things post-jail. So I thought, well, my most interesting podcast ever. People seem to be very interested in that side of me. So perhaps it can be a good conversation.
Does it make you nervous that there may be things that you don't know about yourself that I'm going to try to reveal to you?
I know everything about myself, my friend.
You know everything about yourself.
I believe that I have an intimate grasp of all the things about myself which matter, which allow me to compete.
Right.
So there may be things I don't know, but I'm not sure if I particularly need them. So I'm not that interested.
Right. What's useful is more important than what's true.
Absolutely.
Right, and you've developed a framework of thinking about yourself and thinking about reality that's been incredibly effective for you.
Completely.
Right.
What's useful is more, you nailed it, what's useful is more important than what's true. This is an old argument of mine, but I think we discussed it in the last podcast, and I'll say it again. When I say I don't believe in depression, nobody can convince me to believe in depression. That's not a matter of discussing whether depression's real or not. That's a matter of me accepting that my mental model for going through life is more effective if I don't believe I can become a depressed person. Yeah. I don't believe in depression, so I can't be depressed, so that allows me to be more effective. It's not a matter of sitting there going, well, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. I don't believe in it, so I can't catch it.
You shape your own reality through the conviction of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the words that you use.
Why else would you adopt any kind of mindset unless it's designed specifically to make you competitive and make you win? You install the software in your mind, right? So if I'm going to install software in my mind. Did you install it? Well, I've tried very hard to curate it.
Right, because wasn't it installed by your upbringing? Wasn't it installed by your mother and your father in some way?
Good question.
Before you were conscious, while you were just a developing child, like something got programmed into your psyche that has to have an impact on you. And those things can't necessarily be known because you were at such a young age.
Absolutely. We're all programmed to some degree. I agree with you on this so far. I don't think anybody can escape programming, whether it's society, whether it's a television show, whether it's the people around you, peer pressure, whether it's a religion. We're all programmed to some degree. That's absolutely not really true. What I have done, and what I think most people do not do, is heavily analyze why I hold the beliefs I hold, why they help me. If I don't hold the belief personally, or if I didn't learn it from personal experience, I know where it came from, who tried to teach me that, whether their intentions for me were good or bad. And I've tried very hard to have my mindset rigidly analyzed and make sure that it's put together in a way which benefits me completely and absolutely. And I do not believe in things that take away power from me. Right. I refuse to do that. I would rather say that they are not real. And people will sit here and argue to the end of time that they are real, but they're not real in my world. And I live inside of my mind. So even if you throw me in a Romanian dungeon, the idea that I become a depressed person is not a framework that my mind works within, so I can't become depressed. I can feel a little bit sad, sure, I can feel depressed, but I can't be depressed. They're very different things. So that's just the mindset I've installed, and it's allowed me to be competitive. And I believe, personally, my personal beliefs are that life as a man is hyper-competitive, and whatever software you have in your mind should be designed to make you as competitive as possible, and you shouldn't be believing in absolutely anything else. So I've tried very hard to make sure all of my worldviews and all of my experiences and everything is curated and aimed in a direction which is going to allow me to be a fearsome competitor in all realms of human endeavor.
Mm-hmm. have there been some of your beliefs or convictions that have been challenged
Oh,
through the
sure.
experiences that you've had, particularly in the last, well, recently?
Well, people challenge me often. And what a lot of people don't understand is that I will never adopt the thinking of somebody who is sad, and I will never adopt the thinking of somebody who is less competitive than I am or less successful than I am. If someone comes along and goes, Andrew, you are wrong, the way you see the world is wrong, but they are suffering from an affliction, why would I adopt a single iota of what they say? So it's kind of funny when I talk about depression, the number of people who defend depression. Depression's ruined my life, it's super real, and I lost my wife, and my life is over, and I want to kill myself, it's real. I'm like, surely you should like my worldview. If depression's so terrible and it's destroyed your entire existence, you should be listening to me tell you it's not real. But instead they're defending it and sticking up for it, which I find very interesting. So that's the first thing. In regards to whether I have had any of my convictions challenged, it's kind of amazing. Maybe it's just a semantics trick, and maybe it's that simple. Maybe it's as simple as saying, I feel a little bit depressed today, but I am not a depressed person, and I cannot become depressive. I'm not going to have depression. Maybe it's just a semantics trip, and by saying that alone, I understand that it's a temporary state of mind, which I can alter and I can affect. And I've never struggled with long-term depression or long-term negative thoughts because I don't believe in that mental model. I think that your mind, like I said, it's software, it's programmed in, and they say inside the Matrix or in every single video game, there are boundaries and there are limits. There are certain things you can and can't do. And I don't believe my mind can be put in a state of permanent negativity. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's possible, so it just doesn't happen.
You said you experienced depression, some form of depression or depressive feelings and sadness in prison. What were the thoughts that were coming up? What was happening?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty, which is the first thing
That has to be scary.
It is scary. It's scary.
And also because you're a man who's totally in control of your world, of your life, and that's almost like an imperative for you. And that gives you power. And all of a sudden you're thrust into a situation where you're essentially helpless.
Well, you just nailed it. You completely nailed it, because I was exactly about to say it's the uncertainty that I struggle with the most, because in my life I'm in charge of everything. I know exactly how everything works, and I'm the boss, and I get to control absolutely everything. And this is the first time in a long time I'm in a scenario where I have no power whatsoever, no influence, basically. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody else knows what's going to happen. And also in my worldview, in my world, I'm the hero, right? I'm the head of the clan. Not just my family, but of a lot of people. A lot of people rely on me. Lots of women rely on me. Children rely on me, etc. So everyone comes to me every time there's a problem. So they continued to do that while I'm in a jail cell, expecting me to have some kind of answer. And I'm like, well, I don't have an answer this time. Every other time I had an answer, but this time is a bit unique.
How did that feel? You don't have the answers. You can't help.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. It's very frustrating, and it's the uncertainty that would bother me. I don't think I felt sad very often, but I certainly felt extremely frustrated. I would sit there and think, there has to be a way out of this room. Not breakout, but like there must just be some words I can say, someone I can talk to. There must be a way. It's only a door. Like I can't just be stuck in this room. And it was hyper frustrating. Yeah, and the uncertainty of it is also scary, because in my situation, every 30 days they decide if they hold you longer or not. And I was encountering people who had been in there for years in my scenario. So.
Well, the uncertainty is a form of torture, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's torture.
It is torture. And it's designed to make you break. You don't know how long you're going to be there for. Nobody knows. You hear horror stories. You see other people getting out who've done worse things than you after a week because they've signed a piece of paper or admitted to something or whatever they've done a deal. And you're sitting there, and yeah, it's hyper frustrating. And I think you have two choices as a man. Often when bad things happen, I feel like you can maybe get depressed and sad about it, but the other outlet's usually anger or a form of anger. I felt like anger was more, in many cases, anger is more effective, I guess. It's more useful.
You were angry in there?
I wouldn't say I was angry, but if I started to feel negative, I could turn it into frustration or anger, which I could at least alleviate with 2,000 push-ups. It's better than feeling sorry for myself. I feel like if I had to choose one of the two outlets, deciding to use controlled anger was more beneficial than sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I don't ever believe in moping or feeling sad. So when I was at my worst, perhaps I was a little bit angry. But then again, I also think I do that in my normal life. If I'm honest, I don't think anger is a necessarily bad thing. I think that misdirected anger is a bad thing. I think if you get very angry about scenarios and you put it in the correct direction, you get unlimited motivation and you get a lot done. The water behind the dam, it can be destructive, but if it's pushing through the turbine, it powers the town, right? So If I wake up and I go, I want more money, if I can get pissed off enough about it, I can do 36-hour work days, right? So there's nothing wrong with being angry in my world as long as you are putting it in the correct direction. It's uncontrolled anger, I think, is a problem.
Right, anger can be used as a fuel and it's necessary. And from my framework, anger sometimes is a mask for pain.
I'd agree with that.
So did you experience pain in there? I know pain is a kind of an abstract word, but was it painful for you? Like, I want to know about your pain.
Yeah, it's strange because I'm being as honest as possible. It's strange because I had this instilled sense of duty where even though I'm in a jail cell and I can't leave, and even though I'm cripplingly bored, I don't feel like I had time to feel pain, or I didn't feel like I had time to be a victim.
You had nothing but time.
No, I didn't have time.
What are you talking about?
Because everyone outside still relied on me. So when I would get on the phone, people would...
Is that avoidance, though?
I don't know.
Do you keep busy? Do you avoid your feelings by keeping busy, being on the computer all the time?
All the things I had to do still had to be done. Just because they threw me in a cell, it just made it more difficult, which means I have less time than ever because the difficulty's been increased. And when I would get on the phone, we wouldn't discuss how I'm feeling. I'd be worried about how everyone else is. They'd be like, how are you? Yeah, I'm in jail. What's going on with this? Are you okay? Are your bills paid? Are press hassling you? I was worried about fixing everyone else's problems from jail more than I was concerned about myself or my own mental well-being. And if I felt particularly, when I say pain is an awkward one. I don't know if I felt pain because I don't feel sorry for myself, and I've developed this mindset of such absolute accountability that even though what happened to me I believe was unfair, and even though I'm completely innocent, I didn't think, why? I didn't think, why is this happening? I didn't think, why me? I didn't think, oh, this is unfair. Like, none of these things crossed my mind. I was like, this is garbage. However, you can't become the most Googled man in the world.